I do think that people are a little scared of the game. I will phrase what Cairo104 said here that in a more polite way, because I think it is true. Have you noticed how people almost assume that they can't do stuff?
Oh
right?
yeah, I've had to go off about this.
This is so interesting, and it actually makes me feel a great deal of sadness because I think they can. Yeah. Right? You know,
yes.
When someone says, "I am awful, please give me an easy build," I feel that really makes me sad, because you know what, person who posted that on the Guild Wars 2 subreddit, you're not an idiot, you're not stupid, and you're not useless. Actually, you're not. You are perfectly capable. You can do it 100%, and you can conquer all the goals that you want in the game. Why do so many people in Guild Wars 2 feel that way?
What else were we going to talk about? You had some topic, but I completely forgot.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about how to make an impact in groups. So I thought that was there was like a troll Reddit post that was trolling, but I thought it was actually quite interesting. So I thought, ooh, that actually might be worth talking about, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. How to make an impact?
Yeah. So we could do some.
Kind of covered it before, but
yeah, we were kind of, you know, when we were like just, you know, screaming at people about gatekeeping.
I blacked out. I'm not gonna lie.
You just went full, just started screaming. Yeah, just went completely unhinged. Yeah.
It's all a blur.
Yeah, he has no idea what happened. He's lost. He went into the tunnel. Right, is what happened.
Yeah.
The tunnel. So you know what? Sneb, I've got a confession to make. I was the thief.
It was you the whole time?
It was me.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Got me.
I know you told the thief story on your stream. Do you want to tell the thief story here?
Thief story.
Yeah.
Well,
you had someone come in the other day.
Yeah, sure.
They were a thief.
No, it was pretty small story, I guess. We were chatting and I was like, oh, should I just tag up and do something? And you were like, yeah, let's see what it's like. I was like, okay. So I went in and I said, Wing 1, Omega DPS, looking for heals, tank, etc. First person that joins, they say DPS. And I go, okay, well, can you do the mechanic at Sabbatha then? Can you do cannons? And then they just say nothing. And I suspect the reason that they said nothing is because they didn't know how. But anyway, I ignore it. I shouldn't have ignored it. We go to Veil Guardian. They do less damage than all the offensive supports. So they're like way down there, right? Damage. Still got the kill, so it's like whatever, but I'm just kind of annoyed because they lied to me. I don't like it when people lie. I think it's disappointing. So, because if they had just told me, then it wouldn't be that big a deal. So I messaged them and I said, hey, are you pretty new to raids? And they said, I've only done this a couple times. And I then explained to them that they joined a group that said that they were really, really experienced and that, you know, it's not a good idea to join groups that are asking for this experience and then not have it because it's a little bit disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
And basically just kind of tell them that. I'm like, yeah, just don't do that again. And I don't kick them or anything. I just say, don't do that. That's not a good thing to do. Then we get to Sabbatha and I say, okay, you're cannon 1-3. They say nothing. We go in. They don't do any of the cannons, but because everyone else in the group was so ridiculously good, we killed it without doing any of the 1-3 cannons. But I was kind of pissed. I'm not gonna lie. I was a little bit pissed. So I was like, man, you know, this person, they just lied. You know, it doesn't feel good to be lied to. It feels kind of bad, actually. So, yeah, that's the story. It's really not that big of a story.
And it's a good story. I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed that.
You have to kick these people. You reinforce the behavior by letting them win. Yeah, here's the problem, though. Here's the problem that I wrestle with.
Okay.
If I kick them, they go and they tell everyone who will listen that raiding is toxic. So what's worse, having them go and spread that false narrative, or telling them that they're making a mistake and, you know, letting it slide, but just reinforcing that you shouldn't do what they're doing?
I would actually argue that in a way it is better to actually kick them, because otherwise they'll repeat that behavior, and then someone who isn't as nice as you will say, I am never pugging ever again.
Could be. I guess I also struggle a little bit because I do not like kicking people on stream, and I do not like kicking people in general, because if I do that, then, you know, people get all pissed off at me. So I tend to do everything I can to not kick someone. I don't like kicking people, I guess, in short. I don't think anyone likes kicking people. I don't think it's fun. I think having like constant negative social interactions in a video game is a little bit tiresome. I think it wears on you.
Yeah. The barrier to entry is fairly high. Is it going to train raise so I can catch them now? Well, it isn't. Yeah.
Barrier to entry actually isn't as high as you perceive it to be.
No, but the thing is that statement is weird. Like, the barrier to entry is not high. The barrier to entry to getting into good groups is high, but no shit, right? Of course it is. Like, why would it be low? Like, why would you expect to get into a good group with 0 experience? You're obviously not going to get into like a mega EXP group if you don't have any experience yourself. That's just not going to happen. But the barrier to enter raids is 0. The barrier to enter raids is having exotic gear, pretty much, right? And then, congratulations, you can raid, right? Like, you are in a position to raid. But you still have to put effort, right? You're going to have to learn and, you know, be willing to, you know, put in some work to get it done. But that's it.
Let's dissect this a little bit, actually. Hold on one second. The barrier to entry, from a gear and gameplay standpoint, and what I mean by that is like you have to go through X story or whatever, is extremely low. You can make an alt account, join an HP train, and farm a few metas, and use a boost, and you can have a super meta raid build with decent exotic gear because you just boosted it. You can do it in like 15 hours. Yeah. 15 hours and you can pretty much do all raids. Now there'll be a few little things that'll be annoying, like you might not have some of the mounts and whatever, but you can get those pretty fast. So when you take that into consideration and you think about it relative to other games, this is extremely low. The hardest content in the game can be completed, the hardest content in the game, you can have the gear and everything you need to make attempts at it within 15 hours.
Well,
you can actually do it faster if you know what you're doing, but I'm assuming that I'm assuming it would be like a new player, right? So that is really low.
We've got something that's...
The barrier to entry from like a practice point of view, from a social point of view, might be a bit different, right? But the biggest thing that holds people back is themselves, the fear, right? They're afraid of starting like a training group or a progression group. They're afraid of, asking people questions or asking for a shot from some experienced players. And that's what holds people back more than anything else, in my opinion.
We've there's something coming up in chat, and this is something that I really want to point out and kind of frame this in a way that might make sense to people. It is not veteran players' responsibility to hard carry the raid community. And by the way, I'm not saying like carry new players. I think that's fun and all, but that's what I'm not talking about. I'm talking specifically, it is not on veteran players to make groups for everyone. That's not how it works, right? Like this whole idea of like, oh, I joined a fractal and I said I was new and they told me to leave. Well, yeah, if you join an experienced group, you shouldn't expect to be allowed into that group if you have no experience. Same thing with raids, right? Like I can't get into the kill proof groups because I don't have kill proof. Yeah, of course you can't. Like, why would you be able to? It wouldn't make any sense that you'd be able to. Like, there's a requirement for a reason. Like, it is not on veteran players to make groups for every skill level. All players should make groups for their skill level and experience level. Like, that's how it should be, right? That's how it needs to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those not pull often with the time I have. You should make one. In that case, why do people never think of this? This magical thing called make a group. Yeah. Make a group. Look, if every player who said I can't get into a group made a group, the LFG would multiply by like 10. That's probably not even an exaggeration, by the way. Like, at any given time, when you're, I wish that I would love this number. They should add this to the LFG. They should actually put a number of how many people are looking at the LFG.
I wish they did.
Yeah, because it's a lot. Seriously, it's a lot of people just like stare at it, right, the entire time.
But what I've noticed lately is, oh, this is so fascinating. I think that a lot of the veteran community is kind of on break or has kind of moved to some other games. So there's a lot of like new raiders, you know, but not a lot of old raiders. So there's a lot of people joining groups and they're saying, or sorry, not joining groups. There's a lot of people in map chat in the aerodrome saying things like, so anyone want to do wing 3? And then it's just silent.
Yeah. I also want to really quickly address this because I don't know the mechanics, so I can't really teach them. Why not learn them? But more importantly than that, what do you think I did when raids came out? Because wait a minute. Oh no. I don't know the mechanics, therefore I can't make a group for this. No, that's not how it works, right? You can make a group for a fight that you don't know how to teach, right? You can just get in there and say, hey, let's get in, let's figure this out, and let's go, right? Or you can go and watch, you know, go and look at a guide on hardstuck.gg, and it will actually visually lay out all of the mechanics for you. And then then you do know how they work, and you actually can teach them. You can explain to people what they need to do, right? Like, this is really weird. You don't need someone to teach you and walk you through the entire fight. This is something that Sneb pointed out, actually, in one of our previous talks. Like, people have this idea that you need to have someone there who knows the fight. No, this is completely untrue. Otherwise, how would any group make it through a new fight, right? Like, when a new raid comes out, how did I get through? Nobody knew the fight. So how did I get through? Well, we had to figure it out for ourselves, right? Then we wrote the guides on it. Now, you are, you know, now it's super easy. You can literally look up all the information you need beforehand. You can go in completely prepared. Like, when I go with a new team, we had to figure out strats, figure out the mechanics, how to handle them right, how to play the fight, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd actually be quite amazed. Oh, man. How do I express this? So we start statics in SG. That's our thing, right?
Goose.
And before, I used to always try to mix experience levels. And the reason I did this because I thought it would be a good knowledge transfer. But what I found is that there was a lot of mismatched expectations. So we still mix experience levels a little bit, but not to the same extent and with the same intentionality as before. Now what I'll do is I'll take 10 people who have all maybe done either no raids or maybe wing 1 and 2, or maybe they've done wing 1, 2, 3, and I put them all together. And sometimes what happens is they flourish because they're all like, okay, we've got a goal. We got to go for this goal. How are we going to make this happen? Etc., etc., right? Like they try really hard at it. And then other times they all stare at each other and they go, well, no one's telling me what to do. I'm out. And they completely disband. I find it fascinating, actually, because all it takes is for 2 or 3 players to take some initiative and say, hey folks, like I need you to speak up. We're all in this together. Let's ask some questions. Let's use the Discord resources. Let's watch a guide. Let's come prepared. And if they do that, then they're good.
Yeah.
But a lot of times people think that and this isn't inherently evil. But what happens is a lot of people say that they want to raid and say that they want to be on a team and say these things, and then they just find out it's not for them because they're not really interested in putting in the effort to be on a team. The best way to describe this is actually a good quote. I've used this with my students, actually. Quote by Sneb, okay? If you're on a team, then you are a teammate. If you are not a teammate, then you are not on the team. You are a spectator. And if you're a spectator, then you sit in the bleachers and you watch and you don't get to play. So
Boom.
you got to choose. Are you going to be a teammate or are you going to be a spectator? Because if you're going to be a teammate, then you got to be one. That means communicating. That means working hard. That means asking questions, being involved, being engaged. If you're on a team, then you're a teammate. But if you're not willing to be a teammate, then you're not on the team.
And people just want to get their loot and move on. Yeah, and I think if you have that attitude, to be honest, raids are probably not for you. I think, right? Like, raids are not passive content that you just AFK, right? And just get your loot. And that's fine. If you don't want that, then obviously that's totally cool, right? But that's the way it is. That's what this content is. It's not a simple, like, walk up, show up, do nothing, learn nothing, get the loot. That's open world, right? Play open world. Yeah. Is Celestial good for strikes or raids? Yeah, it's perfectly fine for strikes and raids.
Yeah, I want to make it very clear that if you go into raids and that environment isn't for you, that's fine. There is nothing wrong with that. In fact, I think it's respectable to go, huh, you know what? I thought I gave this a shot. It's not really my thing. So I'm going to respectfully bow out. There's nothing wrong with that.
Do you ever take a step back and realize how much you talk about game issues? Well, of course, yeah. I mean, we talk about this a lot because this is actually one of the biggest problems, right? Like, this cultural issue in the game is fucking brutal, right? Like, I actually don't think it matters, like, what ArenaNet do with any of the game systems. I think the culture of Guild Wars 2 is incompatible right now with group content. And by the way, it's not casual, it's toxic casual is the issue here. There is nothing wrong with wanting to have, like, a very chill environment, but the Guild Wars 2 environment is the opposite of that. The Guild Wars 2 environment says, I don't want to have a chill environment. I want you to curate the environment for me. That's a step further in the other direction. People don't say, you know, I want to be able to get into raids. People say, I want you to take me into a group and get me through raids. That's very, very toxic, right? That's insanely toxic to actually have that as the culture. And that's the baseline culture in Guild Wars 2. It's, I am entitled to join your group. It's not, I want to be able to make a group. It's, I want to be in your group. And that is a no-no. That's obviously ridiculous. Yeah. Yep. Why did you get that culture in Guild Wars 2? I think it's kind of implied by the game a little bit, to be honest. Like, the game is kind of like this, systemically, right? The game is set up in a place where most of the time you get carried by a few individuals. Great example is open world, by the way. Open world is hard carried by commanders, right? Think about it. Like, how many people tag up for Dragon's End? Right? How many people tag up even for Octovine and Chat Gerant? Have you ever been to a map, guys, where you get to Chat Gerant late, and rather than anyone tagging up, people simply AFK and try to get into the other map or abandon the map entirely? Yeah. Almost all Guild Wars 2 content is hard carried by less than 1% of players. Would you agree with that, Sneb?
Yeah.
Or am I talking out my ass?
But that's very much a systems problem and such. Somebody mentioned the culture. This isn't necessarily my area of expertise, but my understanding is that culture is very much a top-down thing. The people who are in leadership are the ones that set and maintain the culture. So this is to say that, and this is maybe a perspective thing, but in my opinion, the creators of the game are the ones that actually set the game culture, because people look to the systems in the game and they look at what the game's putting out. And then I think second to that are community figures, guild leaders, content creators, those sorts of things beyond that. So we can only do so much to an extent. And then we are kind of, our hands are a bit tied by the systems in the game as well. Yeah. What was I going to say before? I had this thought. I was gonna go off about something else. Oh, I was gonna say I'm kind of tired of hearing people criticize that we talk about problems within the game. Do you know why we talk about problems in the game? Because we like the game. Because we are very passionate about the community and because we care. And so it's really weird to read people's YouTube comments and stuff where they like go off on us about how like horrible we are for talking about issues with the game. Look, I could sit here and talk about every freaking Easter egg in the game and go la-di-da, everything's fine, and not say anything ever. But I care about the game way more than that. And so I'm willing to bite the bullet and talk about hard things and have difficult conversations because I precisely care. And I think, Teapot, you would feel the same way, right? That we do this because we care. We're willing to talk about the issues and try to come up with solutions and give recommendations for what to do because we want it to be better.
Yes. And the other thing that happened when Dragons was new and people made LFGs with kill proof, that is also what can happen. And you know what? Personally, I wouldn't do that, and I've never done that, by the way. But what's wrong with that? What is wrong with setting a requirement for content? Right? What is wrong with saying, I want players of a certain skill level to be in this group? There is nothing wrong with that. Personally, I wouldn't do that. It's probably a little bit silly to do that for an open world event. But at the time, it had a 90% fail rate, I think, or something like that, according to ArenaNet, which is actually probably a higher fail rate than most raids. So I don't actually think it was that unreasonable, to be honest. But yeah, probably a little bit silly. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, if you want to make a Dragon's End group that only accepts elementalists, that's completely okay. Sneb did this multiple times, right?
I did that. I would always get people join, though, and they would freak out at me for doing that. And they'd get super upset. And you know why they would get upset? Because they knew that we were putting in so much effort that it was likely that we would succeed. Yeah. And they wanted to win. So I get it, but at the same time, I was like, all I gotta do is switch to Elementalist. I'm not even checking your build or anything. You just gotta play an Elementalist, and they would get really upset.
Yeah. People will hear a stream of Susan, I was like, wow, do I really go into this? Well, you know what? Good. Alec, if I say something like, the game's culture isn't good for group content, yes, that is actually correct. If a player hears that and go, man, I don't want to get into this, good. Good. That means that they've made an informed decision about a product. Isn't that literally what we're here for in a way, as, you know, as someone expressing our opinion online? I don't view that as a problem, actually. If someone hears something that I say, for example, if I say something like, PvP is not competitive right now, and a player hears that and goes, man, I don't want to be involved in the game because of that, then in my opinion, that's a positive interaction. I have helped someone make a good decision with their money and with their time. Because, once again, that is true. Guild Wars 2 PvP is not competitive. It's something that's fun and enjoyable, but if you're looking for a competitive experience, Guild Wars 2 is not that. You want League of Legends or CSGO or Dota or StarCraft, right? You don't want, or WoW Arenas, you don't want Guild Wars 2 PvP. That's true. In the same way, if you want a really vibrant pug scene in Guild Wars 2, this is not the game for you. Right? A really vibrant pug scene is another title, Final Fantasy or WoW. Right? That's true. I'm informing people about accurate things about the game. Why is that? Why is the PvP not competitive? The population is not high enough to support sustainable competition.
I think I come at this from a bit of a different perspective than you. When I say things like, yeah, the culture is not good, but then I always follow it up with, this is what it would need to change. My hope is that people hear that and they go, wow, the culture isn't good, but we can make a difference, and we should make a difference. And so I guess that there are people that can stand here and be like, oh yeah, I'm never going to raid because these guys made it sound horrible. Well, you know what? It's only going to get better if people are willing to put in effort. And if you're not willing to put in the effort, then it's kind of pointless, you know? Like, you have to be the change here.
Yeah.
The population isn't big enough to just ignore all of the things that are going on. We can't be bystanders. You have to actually address the problem.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would just ignore it and move on.
This is totally unrelated, but have you done the Zen Dejun puzzle in Saitong? It's pretty cool, actually. That's completely unrelated. I'm about to do it. I'm excited to do it. I kind of like it.
Yeah, I did that like the first week of the game, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
If I'm thinking of the correct thing, is it the jumping puzzle?
No. It's like the it's the maze.
The thing in the first map.
The maze.
Yes.
Yeah.
I actually got lost in there for like a while,
It's cool.
and some other random player and I were like, hey, we got to solve this together, and we like communicated via map. It was actually, that was one of the best experiences I've had in the game in a while.
I like
it. Was super fun.
I want more stuff like that. I actually really enjoy it. I do it every day now. I'm hyped. I'm excited for it. I didn't even know it existed until relatively recently. Oh yeah.
Interesting.
How do you feel about the fact that Isa got lost in Lornar's pass and died to a mower and then uninstalled the game?
I mean, could happen to anyone, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now he's a top raider. Well, in Lost Ark, but yeah.
No, in Final Fantasy.
Oh, Final Fantasy? Is he playing Final? Oh, I thought he was playing Lost
Isa?
Ark. Yeah, Isa.
No. He hasn't been playing Lost Ark for a while, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, well, I guess
Unless
the
I'm
is still doing
misinformed.
that. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm misinformed then. It's okay. Yeah.
Well, I could be misinformed.
Well, no,
I thought it was Final Fantasy.
Here's the thing. Pugs are fine in Guild Wars 2. The pug scene is fucking scuffed, right? Okay, there's a difference, right? Pugs are actually good, right? But the thing is that people don't think they are, and people are too terrified of making groups. And they think that the way it goes is that someone basically has to carry you. I guess, I think we've really hit something, though. Isn't that because of just the way commanders work? It's like a systemic thing, 100%. Like,
well, yes, we talked about this before. It's 100% a systemic thing. We just keep putting pressure on a few very particular people. We talked about this on Tea Time.
Yeah.
Remember when it was just you and I? Yeah, you put so much pressure on a few people that eventually people just expect that there will be one person who just does everything. And the issue is that if those people don't tag up or don't make groups, then no one does. And you just sit here and wait for stuff to happen. Guild Wars 2 really relies on leaders to just go and do stuff. Otherwise, everyone else just gets kind of lost. But it's very systemic.
Yep. Unfortunate stuff. It's unfortunate.
But the way that you combat that right now is you just make groups. You have to fight against it by just making groups, biting the bullet and going, there's no other way to do this other than just make myself a little bit uncomfortable and just try it. Also, by the way, shout out to Jeff, who has been in my group and recognized me and said, oh crap, is that you, the guy that talks on the stream? And I said, yes. So shout out to Jeff.
How's that feel, Sneb? You're the guy that talks on the stream.
Teapot talk. Yeah. People do not like it when we say just make your own group. You know why I think they don't like it? Well, okay, let's address this first though. Put aside all of the systemic stuff, like the commander tag, those things. Like, forget about that for a second. Just take this at face value. Just make your own group. Just make a group. Like, get in there, make a group. People dislike that. I think they dislike that because it's too simple of an answer, right? So they're frustrated by, you know, they're in deep in the research and trying to figure out how to get the stuff going. And we're like, oh, just make a post, ask some people, they're like, that can't be the answer. That's way too simple. And then it makes it seem like we're trivializing their problem, I think. But that's at least not my intention. My intention is to be like, yeah, like it actually is for some people a little bit scary to just make your own group and dive into the unknown, but it's perhaps the only way under the current system that you're going to be able to just get in there and try stuff and fail. And yeah, because let me let you in on a little secret, people. I'd like to share my LFG experience from the other day. I actually DM'd you about this one, Teapot.
Okay.
Because it mentally destroyed me for about 5 seconds, and then I recovered. Okay. I joined a group that said CACM experienced. I join. I'm playing like Hollow or something. We go in. CM is activated. Said experienced. We move everyone to the proper subgroups. We start the fight. We die to the first hand.
Nice.
We reset. We go back. People aren't using the swords correctly. People don't use the shields on the slam or the slap, clap thing, whatever. Then, after the third pull of dying to the hand and not even getting to see the actual boss, really, the commander instantly leaves with no word, and everyone else in the squad instantly leaves. And then I'm standing alone in the instance. By the way, it took 20 minutes to fill that group. So I spent 20 minutes to get clapped by the boss 3 times and have everyone not try to solve the problem at all and just quit immediately. Yep. Why did I mention this? Well, this is the reason you shouldn't lie about your experience, because the group will fold. The group will succumb to the elements and fold. Yeah, not good. Yeah, anyway, make groups. Just try it. It's okay to fail when you're first learning and stuff. Like, it's expected that you'll fail. And if you're in a group where everyone expects to fail a little bit, they won't immediately give up, and you will actually get to learn and grow and have fun. And that's what it's all about, you know?
Yeah. I do think that people are a little scared of the game. I will phrase what Carol104 said here that in a more polite way, because I think it is true. Have you noticed how people almost assume that they can't do stuff?
Oh,
right?
yeah. I've had to go off about this.
This is so interesting. And it actually makes me feel a great deal of sadness, because I think they can. Yeah. Right? You know,
yes.
When someone says, I am awful, please give me an easy build, I feel that there's something... That person is sad, right? The type of person who says that, they're not feeling good about themselves, right? They're obviously like, man, I suck, I'm terrible, I can't do it, I need something that's easy and brain dead because I'm a brain dead player, right? Like, and people have literally said that, but that's not even like an exaggeration. There have been some Reddit posts that literally say that. That yeah, I'm complete trash, I'm brain dead, I need something that's, you know, for idiots, right? And that really makes me sad. Because, you know what, person who posted that on the Guild Wars 2 subreddit, you're not an idiot. You're not stupid.
Yeah,
and you're not useless. Actually, you're not. You are perfectly capable. You can do it 100%, and you can conquer all the goals that you want in the game. Why do so many people in Guild Wars 2 feel that way? Because, you know what? I am actually going to go and say this. People don't behave that way in other MMOs. Actually, no. This is actually a Guild Wars 2 thing, right? Yes, it absolutely is. Because I played WoW, people aren't like that. I played Classic WoW, people aren't like that. People aren't like that in other games. This is actually like a Guild Wars 2 thing. Why? Why is that?
In old school RuneScape, yeah. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like if you did that on the subreddit, if you went and you were like, yeah, this quest is too hard, the boss that you have to fight at the end is too difficult, I've died to it, blah, 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 blah. I am trash. I am nothing. Like, if you did that, they would just be like, skill issue.
Right.
Like, gotta practice. Yeah, just keep going. That's probably what they would say, right? But I feel like if you say that on the Guild Wars 2 subreddit, people will validate you, right? They'll tell you, yeah, you know what? It is too hard. So you should probably just play this this build where you don't really have to do anything, and maybe you'll be okay. But it still is probably too hard and should be nerfed. Of course, there will be people that will also be like, yeah, you can do it. Like, this is, but I think that even if they're a small group, there's a small group of people that sort of validate these experiences incorrectly. Because I'm like you, I really believe in people. I actually think the #1 enemy of a Guild Wars 2 player is themselves.
Yeah.
Because they believe that they're not good enough. And I think that's really quite sad. Maybe this is because I teach and I try to instill this attitude in my students that they can achieve anything that they want. That if they have enough grit and they put their mind to something, that they'll achieve it. Even when there's obstacles.
Yeah.
But yeah, this actually happened in my Discord the other day. Somebody came in and they said, can somebody just help me get through the KO normal mode strike so I can get the turtle? I think it's unfair that it's locked behind this strike that's impossible for me to do because I'm garbage at the game and blah, 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 blah. And they said all this stuff. And I looked at this and I did feel like this resounding sadness. It's like, wow, they're putting themselves down. Like, this is horrible.
Sad.
Yeah. And so I jumped in and I said, hey, I want to address this because I think it's really important. You are valuable and you are capable. You can do this. The only thing you lack is knowledge. And you know what? You just posting here is enough to get you that knowledge because there's people replying to you, sharing how to beat this and how to accomplish this. So don't put yourself down to the point where it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because if you fail one time at a strike and it's because you didn't have gear or a build or whatever, that doesn't mean you're not capable or that it's impossible. That just means you didn't know. That just means you didn't have the knowledge yet and that you had to figure it out. And everyone has to go through that to succeed. Failure is a part of learning. It doesn't mean you're stupid. Like I had a student, I actually want to share this because this should be a little bit heartwarming. I had a student that went through a really hard personal time and they took their first exam and they were like frozen. I was watching them and I was like, something's wrong, right? But I didn't, obviously it was the exam, I didn't want to say anything, but they just weren't writing anything and they looked like a ghost. They wrote a little bit and they handed in their exam and I looked at it and I was like, holy crap, they only answered like 2 of the questions. They ended up getting 11% on their exam. Within 30 minutes, they emailed me. They were in my office, and we had a chat about it. And they went through a horrible... There's, some personal issues and stuff. I directed them to some resources on campus, some things that could help support them because they were going through a really tough time. And I said, look, you took the exam. That's what you earned. I can't change it. If you had told me before, I could have delayed the exam or we could have made some other, we could have done something else, but you took that exam and that's the grade that you earned. But that doesn't define you. That doesn't mean you're stupid. That doesn't mean anything, really. It's a number on a piece of paper. So you have a choice. You can look at the piece of paper and you can say, this defines me. I am 11%. Or you can say, you know what? This doesn't reflect my work ethic. This reflects a difficult period in my life. And I'm going to go beat it. So I talked with a student in my office because, this is a pretty big deal, right? This is going to really affect his grade. And I said, look, you have a couple choices here and I'll support you in whatever you want to do. If you continue in the class and you bust your butt, I will do everything to support you. If you want to withdraw because you've got some personal stuff going on, I would respect that too, and I think both decisions are valid. The student said, I want to fight. I want to prove that I'm more than this. And I said, okay, I respect it. That student just wrote their second exam. They got 109%. The highest
Boom.
grade in the class.
Huge.
The highest grade in the class. Yeah, people are confused about how somebody can get 109%. The way that I run things is my exams are all written response, so they're a little bit difficult. A lot of people struggle on the first exam because they're not used to having to study in that way and really know the content and be able to explain it to someone else. And this is a first-year course, so generally everyone bombs the first... Not everyone. Generally, like 25 to 40% of the class gets between like 30 and 65%. They struggle on the first exam. So on the second exam, I always make a bonus 10% that can be applied to their first exam to give them a bit of a boost. So that's how it works. And I don't know how to describe this as an instructor. I held the test in my hands and I like felt power from it. I was like, holy crap. There was a bonus on the exam. They had a 10% bonus. So I held it and I was like, this is powerful. This is incredible. They didn't cheat, by the way. They were sitting right in front of me the whole time. So I promise they earned it. They were studying for weeks, they told me. So I put the paper down and I went on a walk and I was like, wow, I have just witnessed like the greatest comeback story of all time. This person is incredible. I felt so empowered by it. I emailed them immediately, and before I even posted their grade, I just said, I want you to know how proud I am of you, because holy crap, no, this is incredible. And they said, you know what their reply was? They replied to my email very quickly, and they said, I just wanted to show that I'm more than that, and that I could do it. And I don't know, I just feel so much power from that statement, right? It was you know what? I'm going to try. I'm going to fight. And 99% of people probably would have quit. But they didn't. And they earned that. And that's incredible. So to bring this back to Guild Wars 2, there's a lot of people that really don't believe in themselves, or they'll have a bad experience or whatever, and they chalk that up to, well, I'm nothing. I can't do it. I only did 8k DPS. That's my ceiling. I can't get any better. But that's certainly not true, because people are powerful. People can change, they can grow, they can develop, they can do amazing things. And you can do it too. Anyone can. Some people, it might take a little bit more effort or a little bit more work, but everyone can improve and grow to some extent. And so don't put yourself down. I get really sad when I see that, because people are capable of amazing things.
Absolutely. And I've got nothing to add. Yeah. A beautiful story. It's totally true. You can do it, team. You may not believe in yourself, but I do. So no matter what, gamers, there'll always be at least one person on the planet who thinks you can do it. And that's me. Probably Sneb too, to be fair.